Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Tina Honor McGaskey, and I'm the manager, customer success, focused on mid market here at Responsive. I'm pleased to introduce to you Justin Walsh, solutions consultant with BlueConic. He has cracked the code of how to effectively use AI across his proposals, and as a result, he has built a reporting playbook that leadership actually cares about. Justin, why don't you share a bit about yourself and the BlueConic organization?
Sure. Thanks, Tina. First off, I'm happy to be here. But my name is Justin. I'm a solutions consultant at BlueConic. And at BlueConic, our mission is to help businesses drive growth by turning their customer data into real time action powered by AI, automation, and bold innovation, which I actually think is the perfect theme for this session as well. Since we don't just do this with our products that we sell to our customers, we also embody this in our internal processes and how we work as well, which I think is what we'll be talking about today.
Awesome. So, Justin, when you first took over RFP management at BlueConic, what were some of the challenges you saw right away?
Yeah, one of the biggest challenges when I first joined that my director presented me with was our content library usage. It had gotten quite stale, and our team that responds to all RFPs and proposals at BlueConic just noticed anecdotally that they weren't using the content that we had in the content library nearly as much as they had been in previous quarters in previous years. But we didn't really have the data to back that up. So, one of the first challenges I was presented with was trying to build a reporting dashboard to figure out why that might be the case, and then initiate a content library cleanup to try to get to the root cause and ultimately improve our content library usage over time. So that content library cleanup was really the key to moving forward with these improvements.
Okay, so you mentioned content library cleanup was a turning point. So, here at Responsive, this is one of the biggest issues that our CSMs face with our customers day to day, and that's getting them to clean up their content library. Can you tell me what steps did you take to do this?
Yeah, so it certainly wasn't an easy process. It was about a 3 week process where we sat down as a team and reviewed every single Q&A pair that we had in our content library. It was an arduous task, but we knew it was necessary because it was going to be the backbone for us to be successful going forward. So we reviewed every Q&A pair. We rewrote a lot of content. We created short answers and long answers for a lot of content as well, and deduplicated a lot of the content because over the previous 3 years before I had joined, we had just built up so many duplicate Q&A pairs as well. So that was really the key to going through, and we cut our content library down significantly from what we had before, which I know some people might be a bit leery of. You don't want to give up some of that content, but in the software business, like BlueConic is, software moves quick and things change. And some of that content that you might think is still relevant from 2 years ago might really no longer be getting used. So that was a big key for us.
So, with cleaning up that much content, how did you measure the impact of that cleanup?
Yeah, this is where building out that reporting dashboard came in. And one of the key metrics that we monitored for this was what you're seeing here, this content library usage percentage by quarter. So you can see when I started at BlueConic in Q2 of last year, we were at about 23% of questions we were using the content library to answer. And this is across all RFPs, all projects in responsive. That even dropped further to 16% in Q3, which is just a really, really low number. In Q3, that's when we initiated that content library cleanup. And you can see the results we saw almost immediately. In Q4, jumping up to 35%, and then an astronomical jump up to 74% in Q1 of this year before tapering off a little bit to probably a more realistic number around the 50% mark or so.
Okay. So you flipped the AI switch when you started to proof of concept. So tell me, was it all gumdrops and roses? How did you evaluate the effectiveness of responsive AI through the process?
Yeah, is it ever all gumdrops and roses? But in all seriousness, no, it was certainly a process. But what we knew, as I mentioned, that this content library cleanup was going to be the backbone of our success moving forward, and we knew this was the first step if we wanted to then implement AI on top of it, because you need to feed AI quality content in order to get quality content back. So what we decided to do was, after that library cleanup in Q3 of last year, in Q4, we did a test of responsive AI, and we evaluated a bunch of AI tools, but we thought the natural extension was responsive's AI capabilities, in combination rather with the content library that we already built out there. So what we did was we took about 10 to 15 projects of previous RFPs that we had submitted, mostly ones on deals that we had won, just so we knew that the content was high quality. And then what we decided to do was just go run AI draft on all of these previous RFPs and compare on a question by question basis, to see, was the response up to snuff with what we would have submitted or what we did submit of a handwritten response from our team. And we had some internal benchmarks to see if we were meeting those metrics, and Responsive's AI capabilities and AI draft specifically far exceeded those internal benchmarks. So we decided to onboard it towards the end of 2024. And the rest is history.
When you bring these metrics to leadership, how do you frame them so they resonate, not only with leadership, but also with the people who are doing the work?
Yeah, it's a great question. I'm in a bit of a unique position where I am the one reporting on these metrics, but also the one doing a lot of the work and responding to proposals at the company. So I can speak first to that portion. I know what's been great for myself and my team is just seeing not only that content library usage percentage increase over time, but also what we're seeing here, this AI usage percentage breakdown by quarter. You can see here in Q4 when we were testing the AI capabilities, we were at about 6% of questions we were answering with AI. And then our first full quarter of using it after we onboarded, in Q1, we jumped up to over 50% of questions we were using AI to answer to some extent, before tapering off a little bit in the most recent quarter. So for me, it's really just seeing beyond how much we're able to save our own time, but it's also getting higher quality responses out to customers, um, because we can use these AI tools to pull content out of the content library that we've cleaned up and rewritten. And then AI can synthesize that, read whatever question is actually being asked in a customer's proposal, and rewrite and tailor the content specific to that RFP. It's a huge win for both us because it saves time writing and tailoring responses for every proposal, but also it means customers are getting better responses out of us each time. So that's a win first and foremost. But on top of that, of course, leadership cares about the quality of responses, no question. But the time savings are a huge win as well. And I know we'll talk a little bit about this in a few minutes, but those time savings to free our team up for more higher value tasks, like spending time on customer calls and giving tailored demonstrations of the product to prospects, that's really where the value, I would say, comes in.
So, Justin, what I'm hearing is save me time, which is music to everybody's ears. Customers want time back, leadership's happy, and you have better content. So, what do you recommend as your top metrics that you share with your leadership team?
Ooh, top metrics is tough because I track so many of them. But I would boil it down to a few of those time savings metrics, as I mentioned. I would say some of the greatest ones to start tracking just at the beginning is the total number of hours you're spending on RFX, which is our catch all term for RFPs, RFIs, security questionnaires, and more. Average hours per RFX, we break this down by quarter so we can report on it on a regular basis. And then also the average time per question. This has been a huge win for us because, as you can see, each of these has dropped significantly in the most recent quarter. And just reporting this out to leadership has been eye-opening, because, of course, it's an investment in the AI tools that we're using, and it's a big process change as well from what we were doing in previous years, where we're writing custom content every single time to send out proposals to prospects. So this is a new process for everyone. It takes time for leadership to buy in. It takes time for our team to buy in and really trust the responses that we're getting there. Because of course we want to make sure everything we're sending out customer facing is of the highest quality. But seeing these time savings at the end has really been the eye-opening aspect for us.
All right. So, Justin, let me ask you this question. As we discuss metrics, we find these metrics that leadership actually care about the most. But I have to ask you this: which ones of these metrics are just noise?
Another great question. I would say that any one metric viewed in a vacuum can be noise. I'll give you a really simple example of one that we're seeing here, this total hours on RFX per quarter. Of course, the number of proposals that you're working on in a given quarter could vary wildly. So that one particular metric, just viewed in a vacuum, you could probably nitpick at. But combining that with some other metrics like average hours spent per RFX or average time per question, you can find, I think, things to critique about any one of these particular metrics viewed singularly. But when you combine a holistic view of all of them, what I try to do is get to some of those higher level metrics that I think leadership will care about a bit more. And I know for our leadership team, it's things like our demo to win ratio, the number of opportunities we won if we demo, or our proposal to win ratio, the number of opportunities we won if a proposal was submitted to the prospect. So it's some of those where we're combining not only the data that we're getting out of responsive, but also from some other sources like Salesforce, for instance, in tracking the actual sales cycle on top of what we're doing on the proposal or the demo side of the house. So I think combining all of those data points is really where you get to the high value metrics that leadership will care about most.
Okay, great. So, for everyone that's listening in today, what's the playbook? How should they get started with measuring and reporting on their own RFP process? I know everybody's dying to hear some type of playbook you can provide them.
I think the best way to get started is to utilize the built-in reporting tools in Responsive. I started by using the executive dashboard and the application usage dashboard. And a year ago, what I decided to do was pull quarterly reports out of this. And I created pivot tables and charts myself to start tracking some of these metrics. Now, I think it's an even lighter lift than it was even just a year ago with all of the Gen AI tools that you have at your fingertips. Because you can simply now, and this is what I do, pull these reports, and instead of doing manual data analysis, you can feed that into your favorite AI tool, whether it's ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, any of them, and have it analyze that data for you and synthesize it to get all sorts of insights and conclusions from the data, from the raw data, without you having to put in too much manual lift. So we've improved our reporting process over time from when I even started this a little over a year ago. And I think that's the best way that anyone can get started.
Okay, great. So, what advice would you give someone who's struggling to show their leadership the impact of their team's work? What they're showing just isn't landing with leadership. So, what would your suggestions be?
Sure. I would say there, I think I hate to keep coming back to it, but it is the theme of the session. My best advice is to brainstorm with the AI tools. I do this all the time, whether it's for RFPs or otherwise. I think you can give it a brain dump, give it some of your challenges. What's your team struggling with? Is your content library not getting used enough? Are you spending too much time writing custom content for RFPs? Give it some of these challenges, and with some of these thinking or reasoning models, Now you'll be really surprised by the results you get back. And you can even ask it, how can I show these metrics improving over time? How can I improve these metrics and my organization specific to what we do and specific to our challenges? And then use the AI on top of this to report on all of the data similar to what we talked about previously. So I think this is the key moving forward is just utilizing those AI tools as much as possible. And that's what we try to do at BlueConic for sure.
That's awesome. So we've taken time to review how to best showcase your impact and how AI is truly assisting you. So let me ask you this. What has the impact of using responsive AI been at BlueConic?
Well, we've seen some of the metrics here, and they're pretty impressive. But just to highlight them again, these are some of the prompts that I've used to track all of these metrics. And I will ask some of these AI tools, can you give me the quarterly trends for content library usage and responsive AI usage percentage? Can you give me the total hours we've spent? And some of these metrics have been really impressive that we've seen. So I would say the impact of this has been the total hours we've spent on RFX, all of our projects has dropped 72% year over year, comparing Q2 of last year to Q2 of this year, the most recent finished quarter. Similarly, our average hours of RFX, which I think is even more important because, of course, that takes into the actual number of projects that we're working on in a given quarter. So it factors all that in. That has dropped also over 54%, from 13 and a half hours to just over 6 hours per proposal. So by doing all of this and tracking those metrics, it really shows the impact of what we've done with these AI tools over the last year.
What's next for you, Justin? Where do you see reporting and AI going from here?
Yeah, anyone's guess with what comes next in the world of AI, but I think specific to us at BlueConic, the most natural starting point for us, I think, was RFPs. Of course, we've been using AI in our product for years, but in terms of internal processes and the way we work, we thought RFPs was probably the best place to start because we saw what was happening with text-based content through ChatGPT and some of these AI tools that have come out since. So that was a great place for us to begin. But beyond that, I think we want to extend what we're doing as a solutions consulting team beyond just proposals. So we're starting to use ChatGPT and other AI tools to create our demo flows, for instance, in building out custom product demonstrations and elements of that we give to prospects. So that's one area. Throughout the organization, we're doing all sorts of different stuff. But where it will continue to go is anyone's guess. As I said, I think ChatGPT might come out and enable some capabilities that we never thought were possible. So my best advice is to be nimble and stay up on top of the news, and you never know where it will go from here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Justin, for sharing how your team cuts through the noise and focuses on metrics that really matter. I love the reminder that we can track 20 or 30 different numbers. It's really those five core ones that count: content adoption, AI usage, proposal to win, demo to win, and opportunity conversion that tell the real story to leadership. Before we wrap, I want to leave you with a challenge. Take a look at your own dashboard this week and ask yourself, if you had only one slide to show your leadership team, would it prove adoption, impact, and outcomes? If not, you know where to start. On behalf of us all, thank you for joining today's session. We hope you're walking away with clear ideas on how to measure and communicate the true impact of your proposal team. Thank you, everyone.